Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This weekend was Brazil's CCXP Worlds, and we're going to talk about that. Definitely will talk about that, but that's not my first headline of the day. The first topic I want to actually talk about today is critics' social media reactions to Wonder Woman 1984. So critics got to see an early screening of Wonder Woman 1984. I think it's not digital. I think they actually went to a theater, or, if they didn't have theaters, they probably saw it on their little screens. But in any case, they got to see it. And Twitter got a whole, batch of moments here. I won't read them all, and I encourage you to go check it out. If you want to know what critics have to say about Wonder Woman 1984, if you don't care, that's cool as well, because the movie is coming out. It's coming out this month, and you can get to see it yourself and form your own opinion. But if any case, here are some, I would just read the few top ones. Eric Davis says, I'm so happy to report that Wonder Woman 1984 is an absolute blast from start to finish, an exceptional compliment to the first film. It's stuffed with heart, hope, love, action, romance, and humor. Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot, and team deliver one of the best sequels. I was in tears when it ended. I can't say much about plot because spoilers, but it's super clever. The opening sequence alone is stunning, and every action scene is different and unique. I also think this is among Hans Zimmer's best scores. And for those wondering, that Gadot Pine chemistry is once again fire. Add to that terrific ensemble cast, Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig were complex and unexpected foes. I was also lucky enough to watch Wonder Woman 1984 safely on the big screen, and it was just everything. I didn't expect the experience to make me so emotional, but it did. I miss it so much. A few more. Courtney Howard. Wonder Woman 1984 is spectacularly fun. A blockbuster of lots to value, tonally reminiscent of the Superman movies, the best spots, delivers a different kind of empowering kick than the original. Sentiments and themes are thoroughly enriching. Action sequences sublime. Amy Radcliffe. I got to watch Wonder Woman 1984 yesterday, and honestly, it's just what I needed, what we all needed. It's uplifting, hopeful, and so utterly Wonder Woman. It's just a beautiful film with themes that hit you right in the heart. I'm not going to toe anywhere near spoilers, but all I'll also say, Wonder Woman 1984 doesn't look or feel like any other modern superhero movie. I can't wait for us all to talk about it. And I'll leave it at that. If you want to go and check out more critic social media reactions, I'll definitely link that Twitter event moments in the description down below. But it does sound like positive, right? I think it's a positive, reviews for a gigantic blockbuster that was supposed to have come out of theaters and will come out of theaters, limited though because of theaters not opening, and also on HBO Max, December 25th. Merry Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas to all the DC fans that in the country, within the United States, that cannot go out to see in the movie theaters or choose not want to see in theaters. It will be on HBO Max, and I think you're going to have a great, wonderful time. I know I will. On Christmas, I'm definitely going to have all the lights down low. I'm going to actually, make ourselves some popcorn, microwave some popcorn, and get some drinks. $1 soda drinks from McDonald's or something, just to get that experience right there in our living room, and enjoy Wonder Woman 1984 how it really should be on a giant screen. I don't have a giant screen, but I'll have to make do. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I think it's going to be good, and there are some things that have come out to kind of look at to figure out, this is going to be a good one, maybe. It's certainly something interesting and a bit different in its case. Now, all that exclusive look at Wonder Woman 1984, unfortunately did not come from Brazil CCXP, and I will talk about Brazil CCXP Worlds. This is my review of it. Now, this picture right here would probably be the best picture that came out of Brazil CCXP, and it kind of just wraps up my thoughts on Brazil CCXP. There was a lot to eat, although what we got to eat wasn't anything new. And this picture is actually from the Suicide Squad panel, where James Gunn said that John Cena, who played Peacemaker, for a certain scene had to eat over 30 empanadas in order to get the scene right. And looking at him, he pretty much got sick of empanadas, right? So I did the whole streaming event today, or yesterday, depending on when you watch this. And 5.5 hours later, right before, it was a 6 hour. It was a 6 hour Warner Brothers, Warner Media panel. So they did everything from Cartoon Network to Adult Swim, lots of things that DC fans weren't interested in, or even movie fans as well. We had a lot of expectations going in, thinking they were going to have a lot of big reveals, maybe Dune, Matrix 4, Godzilla versus Kong, things like that. And of course, DC in itself. But DC really didn't have much. I think we were at the last hour mark, or maybe 2 hour mark, where they started going to DCs. They started going to shows, right? So we got to see the behind the scenes look at Javicia Leslie and Batwoman, which is kind of cool. Great to see her outfit. It looks really great. The Flash season 7, I thought I've seen that before already, but they had some behind the scenes as well. But they did have a little trailer for season 7. And then you have Pennyworth. You had a little bit of that as well, and the Zoom panel as well. Then when it got into the movies, the Batman, there was nothing for the Batman because Matt Reeves was busy, and they even tell us that there's no exclusive reveals for this because we already had DC fandom. I mean, if I knew that, then I wouldn't have gone through the whole thing. But I still enjoy talking with you guys. So I thank you all for joining, the subscribers and the members and even outside people for joining on my streaming. Even though YouTube took down my video around the 5.5 hour mark, it was almost 6 hours, but they decided to take it down and gave me a warning. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Whatever, They didn't have much anyway, so there wasn't not much to pull from anyway. So the whole video is gone, the whole stream is gone, but there was not much there, right? There was nothing really there. There was no Mortal Kombat. There was Mortal Kombat game, which is cool. There's the Gotham Knights game, but we've seen all that before, and that was it. And then there was no Injustice 3, no Mortal Kombat movie, no Matrix 4 movie. Godzilla vs. Kong had a short little clips, like this one right here. You can actually see it right here. Just 2 shots, a 2 to 3 second scene of, and I know this is not DC, but I'm just trying to pull up, have a point here, that the beginning Warner Media trailer before this whole thing started, the 6 hours started, had the most exciting content within that little trailer, including these 2 new scenes of Godzilla and Kong. And I think there was a little bit more, but they could have been just rehash of Warner 1984 and the Suicide Squad and the Batman. But that trailer didn't match up with what was to be expected for the rest of the panel. 6 hours and not much to show for it. To be honest, many people were disappointed. I had fun just, having lunch in front of you guys. I was having my own little mukbang, DC mukbang, while we're trying to go through all these different shows. The cartoon Primal was sad, depressing, but awesome and spectacular at the same time. And that animation, was really cool. So that's one of a cool little series. I don't know if I think it's out on HBO Max, but I'm not sure. But that's definitely an animated series to look at. But in terms of DC, which is just what channel is all about, there was nothing much to be shown there, unfortunately, right? Nothing. I mean, even Andy Muschietti came from The Flash and just says, you know what, we're going to go to places you haven't seen before. And that's it. That's all he had to say. And then he left. There was nothing there. So unfortunately, it was a bust. It wasn't that great compared to last year's Brazil CCXP, where they went all out with Wonder Woman 1984. This year, not so much. There was nothing much new to it. Even Wonder Woman 1984 had a short little panel looking at fan art and drawings. And then there was a little a trailer at the end, 60 seconds, with a cool, somber music from Hans Zimmer that I won't play for you because I probably get copyright. But it didn't have any much new scenes other than her taking out her lasso and cutting to the scene we've already seen where she lassos the lightning, and also some cool street shots and stuff like that. But other than that, there was nothing much to see from there, right? So it wasn't that great. Brazil CCXP, disappointing to a lot of people, including myself. But that doesn't mean we never got some cool things today, because we did get some cool things today, but it didn't come from Brazil CCXP. But it was in the artist alley. Is apparently DC wants to expand the Snyderverse through comics. And I'm going to pull this little quote right here. I don't, you know what? It actually comes from Mercury GBTZ, the Snyder Lives. He says this: fans of Zack Snyder's DCEU films may have one more reason to celebrate. During the American Vampire panel at CCXP World's Artist Alley, Scott Snyder stated that he was called by DC to help in the comic book adaptation and expansion of the mythology of the Justice League Snyder Cut he is doing at HBO Max. Snyder of the comics, however, said he didn't accept the job, so he said no, because I had a lot of work ahead of us and I can't handle people confusing us anymore. Meaning, because Snyder, Scott Snyder, Zack Snyder, Snyder. So yeah, but he said no. But the story here that I want to emphasize is the fact that DC called him to help in the comic book adaptation and expansion of the mythology of the Justice League Snyder Cut. So a lot of people got confused at this part, wondering if that means they gave up on the rest of the Snyderverse and they're going to expand it through comics. I think we've had conversations about this a long time before, that if there was no way to continue, then they would be in a comic book form. And I think there is something like that, but I think the live action ones will still continue. I think there's a possibility Justice League 2 and 3 will still continue on. These are the little things that will come through the comic books, like the Man of Steel prequel comics. There are these little comics that are peppered around surrounding a film that comes out, or animation or something like that. It's to fill in the gaps, if you will, of the Snyderverse. So I think, and the adaptation, every movie has a comic book adaptation, pretty much. Not all of them, but like Godzilla had one, Superman Returns had an adaptation comic book. So I think this is one of the reasons why DC wants to do that, but also the fact that they want to pursue this version of that universe in comic book form. So it is going to be in a comic book. So I think that's kind of cool as well. It's a little bit more adding to the Snyderverse through comic books, not necessarily continuing off Justice League Snyder Cut, maybe, and hopefully not. I think there's still a chance that we could get it in a live action format, which I prefer, but there are ways to expand the universe through, other spin-offs, through animation, through more live action, and now definitely through comic books as well. So that's kind of cool. That's something that came out. Probably the only Snyder Cut thing that has come out of Brazil CCXP. And that was pretty much it for Brazil CCXP. There was nothing more to that. But Daniel RPK gave us a bit more tidbits about the Snyder Cut. Daniel RPK is a scooper and knows people in the industry. Knightmare Mera from Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's teasing that right now. He teased this beforehand, and it's a picture of, Knightmare Mera. Let me take this away. Of Mera per se, and she's holding a Quindent, right? And then so he pulls it back and says, I'll make it easy for you to figure this one out. Snyder Cut related, new scene. Just look at the picture. What do you see? And of course, we see Mera, but she's holding the Quindent. And so, like, our suggestion is that, because the additional photography is of the Knightmare vision, and he actually says it here, what it is that the additional filming of Zack Snyder's Justice League added a new Knightmare scene to the feature, where Joker, Jared Leto, and Slade Wilson, Joe Manganiello, join what's left of Justice League, the resistance against Darkseid. What's left of, the Justice League. So what's left of Justice League, as we've found out, is that it's Joker, it's Slade Wilson, Deathstroke rather, and well, it's the same guy, but and Cyborg and Flash and Batman, and of course also Mera. Mera was also there as well. So we're thinking it's probably because Aquaman's gone and someone has to hold the Quinton. Someone has to represent the Atlanteans, and that is Mera. She survived the apocalypse and will be part of the resistance to go against Darkseid. So, but because we're talking about Knightmare, there is more from Knightmare Joker. Knightmare Joker from Zack Snyder's Justice League was also teased. There's a little bit more into the description of Joker, and this is what Daniel RPK had to say about that. He said, and this is thanks to DCEU for this, but Daniel RPK published a description of the Jared Leto Joker look in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He has long brown hair with a bit of green and police weapons and badges. The Snyder Cut debut in 2021. So he has brown hair with a bit of green and police weapons and badges. That's interesting. And it gets to the point that, wait a minute, that totally is an evolved look from what he was in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Does that green not come from the barrel, the chemical, or does it actually he dyed it, right? Or so there's a little bit of that. That's and it's gonna be like that because Mera essentially does look different in Justice League compared to how she looks like in the theatrical Aquaman. So there are gonna have those little creative liberties that are being taken being taken place. So in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in his world, Jared Leto's Joker will look like that: long brown hair with a bit of green, police weapons and badges. And I'm thinking police weapons and badges are like his trophies in a way, kind of like how Predator hunts. He gets trophies off of the people he kills. And I'm wondering if one of those weapons and badges is Commissioner Gordon's, maybe. I'm just thinking about how what type of relationship or conflict would a Batman having to work with a Joker in the near future in the Nightmare vision? Like, there's got to be a lot of not good things between them, right? Including he killed Robin, and so if he killed Robin, he may have killed a ton of police. He probably did, and one of them could have been Commissioner Gordon. So there may be something to that as well. So, but that is essentially some exciting things coming out of Zack Snyder's Justice League in terms of that also didn't come out of Brazil CCXP, but came off from Twitter. So I want to thank DCEU for putting that up. Indeed, that's not the only thing that Daniel RPK talked about. He also put out, and this is all, I believe this is all through the Patreon. If you pay into the Patreon to his account, he puts down some little scoops here and there. But DCEU also put this out as well, that apparently Jim Carrey Riddler cameo is going to be in the Flash. Whoa, okay, so the Warner Brothers is interested in bringing Jim Carrey back as a Riddler for special participation in The Flash. He played the role of Riddler in Batman Forever. Daniel RPK just put that out. And in hindsight, it does make sense since they're going to do the Linda Carter thing. They're going to do the Michael Keaton Batman thing. It's probably hard to get a Val Kilmer Batman to show up, or even George Clooney. But Jim Carrey, could potentially come back as a small little cameo for that version of the Batman and for, Batman Forever, right? So from Batman Forever. And maybe that would be a shoe-in for the Schumacher cut in some sense or the word. But anyway, it is definitely getting crazy. A lot of cameos. And I'm just thinking these little moments are going to be very small, very short. It's going to be like a flash, flash, no pun intended, but like it really just flashes by, maybe through the speed force, or he actually visits all these different worlds, but doesn't spend a lot of time in them. And just to show that these characters exist, it's kind of almost like Deadpool going through, different timelines really quickly in the post credits for Deadpool 2. I would see it like that. He's just going through these different things, different timelines, different universes, and seeing these versions of these characters and deciding not to want to stay there really quickly. He's just going so that's how I would see how this would work, and that way it could still really concentrate on the actual story at hand is how I'm thinking how that's going to play out. But let me know, what do you think about Jim Carrey Riddler cameo in The Flash? That would be that would be quite something indeed. All right, now let's get on to the Ping Pong Flix members' comments and questions. I don't think I have that much this time around. This is, like I said, if you'd like me to read your comment or question, please join as a member down below. Click down in the members, or in the description, there's a way to click down as to be a member as well. And also, I am doing that random prize drawing, so that video that it did to you, exclusive to all the members, that will be up for a week, hopefully to capture all your names, Instagram handles and Twitter handles, so that I can DM you directly on how to give you that Man of Steel limited edition collector's prize. And for every 50 members, I will do another random prize drawing. All right, but let's get on with the questions and comments. This is from the Ava DuVernay video. Eric Blake, I'd say, let me zoom in a little bit. I'd say the likelihood of Ava's New Gods actually happening at least theatrically or on HBO Max is linked to whether or not she's up to keep Zack's casting of Darkseid, decide, and if he's alive when her film takes place, Steppenwolf. I think Warner Brothers, due to how much attention Zack's vision now has from people, will want a kind of a visual link on that end. Otherwise, we'd be more likely to see her take on the CW or what have you, not in theaters. I don't know what the situation with that. Knowing full well that Jim Lee is okay with having multiple visions out at the same time, multiple Batmans, multiple Supermans, he may just say, you know what, this is Ava DuVernay's New Gods, and it won't be connected anywhere near Zack's at all. And if they're gonna have it Zack's version of Darkseid Decide, she's probably going to say no to the whole thing and just quit altogether, right? So I think if she's allowed to make it, it's going to be what she wants to do, and we'll see how that takes place, or where that takes place. Eric Blake, regardless of whether he's joined by several female co-leads, I'm betting that's what's going on. I'd cast Andy Samberg as Patrick Eel O'Brien, the Plastic Man, right amount of James Cagney in him to go with the former gangster, and of course the right amount of goofiness for the Plastic Man. He's also good at Jim Carrey type stretchy face, which of course fits the character. Andy Samberg is he's funny. He's funny as heck, and that I like that. That's a good fan cast right there. Kal-El of Krypton. I'm sorry, Chris. One of the first times I disagree. A Wrinkle in Time was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I find her Ava's persona in public to be more activist and filmmaker. Not interested in seeing watching anything or sees touches. But actually we agree, I think, because I don't like Wrinkle in Time. I think that is not a very good movie. But I'm thinking, in a way, if she is, and looks like Warner Brothers is signing her up to it, I think the best we can do is hope that she does a good job, and hopefully those steps into getting up to the New Gods level will make for a better product. But I don't know, so we'll have to wait and see. Nothing we can do. It's going to come out essentially. And I think there was a comment under here that you said for not me to read, so I'm not going to read it. So I think that was it for the members' comments and questions. Like I said, it's pretty short. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you absolutely love this daily dose of DC content and movie shows and video games, please click the like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, keep this hot dog light on. And by the way, thank you so much for over 17,000 subscribers. We are going up, 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 and away. All right, that was so cringe. I'll see you next time. Bye.